All right. Welcome back to another Elevated Marketing Dad podcast, where we simplify complicated digital marketing topics to help your business grow. Today, we're going to talk about the value of a social media company helping you to build your brand on social media. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a social media company. However, the same rules apply for if you're having somebody do it in-house. So we are going to talk about that. But before we get started, let's do our fun question. What superpower do you most envy, and how do you wish you could use it? I know.
I think what first comes to mind is like flying. I hate sitting in the car. I feel like it's a waste of time. And so
We have cars coming soon, Brenna, for you.
hopefully. But then I wouldn't be able to give up control. So that's a whole other thing. But
That's a whole other thing.
in a perfect world, I would love to fly and not have to waste time in a car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I feel like the superpower I want is the ability to not show emotion. Like when something like happens to you, like just like being like, okay, I'm not going to get upset about that, and I'm going to continue to smile. I know I've gotten a lot better, but I think I wear my heart on my sleeve for sure, and like
it's
pretty much
definitely easier. It's easier said than done. Yeah.
yeah. It's just whenever I hear something, I'm like, I try to like think it in my head, like, okay, yeah. So I think of air traffic controllers. I was watching this video, this guy that he got from the pilot that his co-pilot had jumped out to the back of the plane. Did you see this?
I've seen that, yeah.
And he was just like so calm, and I'm like, well, they have to be like super like calm.
Yeah. Oh, could never be me if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about building a brand and building a brand on social media, which is one of many places that you do build a brand. And, for clarity, a brand is what people perceive you as. You can certainly put things out there, but if they're not getting the message correctly, then that's your problem to solve as the social media marketing agency or as the individual who's running the social media. So, what do you think? How does it help build a brand to do social media?
Yeah. Well, developing a targeted brand strategy can maybe be at one of the first points of this list. You're not just posting willy-nilly. You kind of you definitely have thought and intent behind your posts, and overall, who you're trying to reach. And so
That's important to be part of a brand. If you're talking to that target audience, then you know the words to use and the messages to get out.
Right, exactly. Yep.
And you know the motives, so you know what you're trying to accomplish with it. So you're kind of building your strategy around that audience and those motives that you're trying to get after.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't think we have to, argue at all that, social media platforms reach billions of people a day and globally, and that people are spending hours upon hours hanging out there. They're not hanging out on Google. So if you're not out there talking, then you're not out there telling the story of your brand, then you're not going to be talked about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you have to give yourself a chance to at least get in front of some people. if you're not trying at all, then,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's work. It takes a lot of work, creating and curating, high quality, or even sometimes it's just getting something out.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of time to think through that. And that's where people kind of fall short, is that consistency of getting it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe a lot of people kind of put pressure on themselves of, "Oh, well, a picture or a video, like, I don't know," but you have to start somewhere, and
Yeah.
yeah.
You can just continually refine it.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on a previous podcast, just kind of not overthinking, like getting video and getting the graphics. And, maybe obviously, I guess not maybe, but obviously it comes a lot easier to us, because we do it all day, every day. But, you have to do that. And you've got to find things interestingly to say, right?
Mhm. For sure, for sure. Another thing would be maybe some leveraging of could be influencers, partnerships. What we
Yeah.
really like to use is more user generated content.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we find that this user generated content gets out to a lot more people because it's a different face kind of talking about your product or your service, whatever it is. Um, there's definitely different ways that you can get a hold of user generated content. You could do giveaways, featured posts of maybe some testimonial, anything like that. But that definitely helps to boost some reach and then therefore boosting your awareness and maybe some credibility as well.
Yeah, because you're going to get in front of their audience as well if you're
Mhm.
tagging them and
Yep.
involving them. And, it's certainly not easy. It takes work to kind of think that through and be consistent on reaching out to people, to try to get that content. You have to have a good product or service that people are actually willing to talk. We're getting ready to do a media day, and we've got some people that are like, yeah, I don't want to be on camera, and it's just, oh, that's fine.
Mhm.
But it takes some convincing.
Yep.
But if you can find somebody that has a lot of followers that is willing to, collaborate with you. I know Lorraine and I are on Friday mornings, and she's got her crowd, and I've got my crowd, and building a little trust, by endorsing each other.
Yep. Yep.
So definitely, when it comes to social media, you can't rely solely on just organic posting. One of my biggest reasons for that is, although when you're doing organic posting, your content will be placed in front of people who have interacted with similar content. And so it should, in a general sense, get in front of, who you want it to be in front of, if you actually have, tailored your messaging and your imagery to that particular audience. But paid ads is a greater propensity to actually get in front of those people. And so I'm a big proponent of maximizing that reach and targeting precision by using ads.
Mhm.
And I
Yep.
think it's great for remarketing too.
Yep. Yep.
All right. What else you got?
Well, we all want consistent engagement on any efforts we're putting out there. When it comes to social media, along with many other channels, you do have to build that community. And so, kind of what we touched on earlier, just the consistent posting, but also when you are getting engagement, making sure that you're monitoring those interactions and maybe you're responding, you're liking comments.
Yeah.
You just want to show that you are involved with the community that you're trying to build on social media. And from there, you'll see higher numbers engagement wise. And of course, that means reach and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it takes some work, but, in your posts, you can ask questions. When people do comment, try to go that extra mile to ask them a question, to try to engage with them. Remember, it's like going to a networking event. You don't like the person that shows up and just passes out their business cards and is expecting kind of that immediate sale. This is a social network. People are there to socialize. They're not there to necessarily do business. And so that engagement is just as well needed. People ask questions online and you have to be there. There's lots of tools to set up when someone mentions you so that you can respond, even if they haven't, tagged you. People are doing their customer service. They're sending messages. That's where people are living at, is on social media, and that's where you can build that brand up.
Yep.
So, all right, what else do we do in order to build a brand? I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention this one.
Utilizing analytics for continuous improvement. We always say, the numbers don't lie, the story is within the data. And as with anything, you need to use data to kind of plan out your next move when it comes to marketing. And, especially with social media, whether that be organic or with ads, your reach and your engagement, your click-through rate is going to tell a lot to the story.
Yeah, we've done a blog post on this before, but reach is how many people you're getting in front of, and engagement is how many people are comment, liking, sharing, engaging with those posts. And those are your two most important metrics, and you're not going to see those in your Google Analytics or G4 accounts. So, if your reach is not quite getting there, or people not engaging, then you're not going to get in front of more people. And so you got to go back to your content strategy, and it's all going to be down based on the content. So it could be the content type, but it could also be like the format. It could also be like the actual messages, the words. You got to try, different things for sure.
Yep, for sure.
All right, what's next?
So, words are hard. Harnessing trends or hashtags that can help amplify your reach. Now, we've spoken on this a few times. Trends are great when they work and are relevant to who you are as a brand. So,
yeah,
just a friendly reminder, you don't have to hop on every trend you see. But, it can help with reach if there's something that really would jive well with your brand or your service, your product. And sometimes you can find that when you hop on those trends, it'll kind of take off a little bit, maybe help you gain some more followers, but we definitely want to see the reach that's going up.
Yeah. So platforms reward people who try new things prior to it kind of going, into a trend. So if you can, get yourself on their list and be well aware that a platform is going to release something new, and that it kind of lines up with what you're trying to get after, certainly that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. Are they all going to be winners? No, but like 10% maybe of what you do should be always testing like some sort of like new trend, or we also talked about hashtags. I think I saw someone recently say that don't do hashtags anymore and they don't work, and I'm gonna disagree.
Yeah.
If you understand like what a hashtag is, it allows you to search by a hashtag, so it's like a search feature, and I think you're giving the social media platforms just another clue as to who you're trying to get in front of. But there are people that are going to use that search feature as well, but I just think you can't go overboard on them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think too with hashtags, if you almost think of it as like SEO in a sense, even if somebody's not searching with the hashtag and then whatever you
They
have
can
behind it.
self-identify and be like, oh,
it
that's me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I agree. I think they're still important.
Yeah. So what you got next?
So you cross-platform strategy, or maybe some multi-channel strategy.
For sure.
Essentially, we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket. That's something Jennifer says all the time. So I'll take one from your book. But just making sure you are broadening your audience in terms of
Yeah.
exposure. You're not only posting in one place. Look at the different channels, different outlets you can utilize. That'll always be important.
And sometimes, it's just a matter of another checkbox. So if you're using like a schedule or something like that, like we use Metricool, and you're already creating reels for Instagram and Facebook, it's just another checkbox to add it to TikTok. Can you create content that's very specific for each network? Absolutely. And if you have the time and resources, you should definitely do it. But just getting it out there is a step in the right direction and not overthinking it. So, cross platforms with social media will just make sure that, that again, that brand is out there and that you have a presence on multiple places. Even if you're just like making one post a week, that's something rather than nothing. And it just increases the brand touch points that you have. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right. Last one, maybe, or I can't remember. Do we have a couple more? No, this last one.
Yep. Overall, building long-term brand loyalty and recognition. Jennifer said it earlier, social media is meant to be social. And so when you are social on social media, which, wow, that's crazy, right? But,
Yeah.
Building that community, that's important. A lot of people are taking to social media to maybe do some searching or just seeing what other people are doing in the realm, maybe within your industry. And if they can see that you're up and you're active, that's,
they'll recognize you. They'll recognize you because they've seen you over and over and over, and you have that consistent messaging. So that is really critical in a competitive market, where visibility sometimes can be a challenge. Not everything is going to hit for sure. It builds familiarity and trust, and those are all things that go into a brand, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, what are your last minute thoughts on how social media, whether it's a marketing company or internally, helps boost the brand awareness for small businesses?
Yeah. I mean, social media has been around for a while now, but there's a lot of different ways to utilize social media to help boost your brand awareness. And I think remembering to remain social on here, but also not being afraid to share some of the fun and behind the scenes of maybe what you're doing.
Absolutely. People love and eat like, don't overthink that too. Like, I think we did another post on that, like 80% of your content should be fun stuff and informative or educational, and only 20% should be about promoting the products or services that you offer. If you're just shouting at them with that, then you're definitely not going to win the game of social media.
Yep, absolutely.
You will definitely establish a brand, and it will be a brand of pushy salesmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed today's show, certainly rate and review if you're on podcast, or subscribe if you are on YouTube. We certainly have an email newsletter, which you can get over at elevatedmarketing.solutions, or you can follow me on LinkedIn. We've got a newsletter over there as well. All right. Take care.